All right, so on last week's Two Bears, One Cave, Tom Segura went on a rant about his fans. I guess he's been reading comments, and people have been complaining about how the podcast is getting kind of boring because they're sick of hearing Tom and Bert just talk about luxury items and what kind of watches they're buying, what kind of cars they're buying, like rich people shit, and how they're flying in private jets and all that stuff. And I guess Tom even read some comments where fans are saying that they don't like hearing about this because it makes them feel bad about themselves and the situation they're in. So Tom used this as an opportunity to lecture his fans, and he gave an Andrew Tate style speech like about how his fans are losers and they need to get their shit together. But this kind of speech coming from Tom just doesn't work because first of all, it's clear he got upset about the comments, like that's why he's talking about them, they got to him. And also it was just way too serious. It seemed like a personal thing. Like when Andrew Tate goes on these rants, it's usually pretty funny and entertaining, and the people that he's talking about can laugh along with it. But when Tom went on his rant, it just wasn't very funny. And I don't think he was trying to be funny at all. Like, he was actually upset with these comments, it seemed like. And he wanted to try to put an end to them. Or, like, try to weed out the kind of people that complain about this stuff. But it's a slippery slope when you try to do that kind of thing. Just look at Deaf Noodles. He lost 90% of his viewers. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that is he let criticism get to him. And some of the valid criticism that people are giving him, he would read and act like it's some ridiculous thing that people are saying. And then you tell him to get lost. And pretty much everyone listened to him, and now his channel is dead. So Tom, he's doing a similar thing because people criticizing his podcast because he talks about private jets and luxury items like watches and everything, just stuff that rich people could relate to. That's a valid complaint because I don't think a lot of people really find that interesting or funny at all. And most of those complaints, I don't think it's because they're jealous of him or they feel bad about themselves when he talks about that stuff. I don't think that's it. I think most people just find that kind of stuff boring, and it doesn't mean Tom needs to stop talking about it. He could talk about whatever he wants. It's his podcast. I'm just saying that this is probably a sign that his podcast has peaked, and going on a rant like this is not going to help.
Any car you can't fit in.
Oh, can I just say this real quick?
Yeah.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. You're in control of your own situation and your own feelings. So don't put it on me that you feel bad, that I have something that, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the out, okay? Like, don't make my life be a problem for your life. If you don't like it, guess what? You're not going to be able to control what people talk about. People are going to talk about things that you don't have for the rest of your fucking life. So you can decide like, okay, I won't, fine, don't listen to me, don't listen to that person anymore, but you have to control your own feelings, okay? It's not on other people to make sure they don't talk about a topic that makes you feel bad.
Yeah, this is not a good sign. I don't know why he's reading these comments, and I don't know why they're getting to him. Like, this should be stuff that you just ignore. Like, I don't even see that many comments saying this kind of thing either. I think mostly people complain about it on Reddit, but if Tom's on Reddit reading comments, that is not good. And like I was saying, for the most part, I don't think people are complaining about this because they're jealous or they feel bad or whatever he's trying to say. I think it's just because people don't like the content. Like this comment on Reddit that has 540 upvotes. This person said, I don't give a shit when he makes fun of poor people. It's just that talking about cars and watches is endlessly boring. Tom just pretends that all the comments are people being offended, but really he's just being boring. And I think this person's kind of onto something. You know, the podcast, it's always going to have a huge audience, no question about it. But I think a lot of people that were fans of it for a while are getting bored with it because it's just not the same. And now it's just like two rich people talking about rich people shit. And Tom wants to make it seem like people don't like listening to that because they're just losers and they just get jealous when they hear people talk about how successful they are. But in the back of his mind, he should realize that people don't like hearing comedians talk about this kind of stuff, and that's why a lot of comedians try to avoid talking about it, because this isn't the reason they're famous. They're not famous because they talk about being rich. They're famous because they make people laugh and they entertain people. Like Andrew Tate can get away with it because being rich is part of his image. Driving around a Bugatti, flying on a private jet, that's part of it, and his audience is mostly kids and kids that love that kind of thing. Tom really doesn't have any of that going for him. Nobody's gonna listen to him for motivational advice either, like he's trying to give right now. Him and Bert, they try to give this like motivational kind of speech, and it's just so weird.
You get to choose to be one of the two people. You can be the person that sticks in the fucking hole and goes, woe is me, or you can be the person that goes, oh, that's cool, I want that shit.
Sure.
I want to work to get that shit. Well, that's a great speech, man.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, you can't look. I understand if hey man, if you got like physical ailments and we're making fun of physical ailments, that's fine. But achievements, you should look at people who achieve it and get inspired, I think.
The main problem that I have with the issue is somebody saying, you having a conversation makes me feel bad about my situation. Therefore, you should avoid that. It's like, dude, you don't live in the real world.
No.
If that's how you think the world works, that you can let people know that a conversation about something makes you feel bad about your situation, good fucking luck. If you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a fin loser, but you don't have to.
You don't.
You can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to get you anywhere. You're being bitter, you're being petty, you're insecure, you're not confident, and you can change that, but you have to be proactive. If you just sit around and you know what? You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser if you're thinking like that. And so you're maybe, I'm lucky to have you as a loser fan, but you don't have to be that way. You could be a winner. You just got to change the way you think.
So I wonder if Tom will continue talking about this kind of stuff on his podcast, like this motivational Sigma mindset kind of content, like whatever you want to call this, because I don't think people will be into it. And it seems like he's really into it here. And even after this, on his podcast with his wife, Christina, they went over all this and they talked about it even more and they reacted to the clip. Like, I think they uploaded this as an individual clip to their YouTube channel. So Tom was proud of this rant, and maybe it's possible that they might be trying to shift their content since they like talking about rich people shit, and the people that like listening to rich people shit are people that like motivational kind of stuff as well, like Andrew Tate and Grant Cardone and people like that. But I don't think that'll really work for them, like I was saying, because that's just not what their audience is interested in. But also, they'll probably try to act like it's a bit. Like, some people think them talking about all the rich stuff is a bit, which I don't really believe. Like this person responding to somebody saying it's a bit. They said, I was thinking that for a while, but considering their recent takes and just the general vibe of the show these days makes me think it's not. It feels less like leaning into it for a bit and more just straight up doubling down. There's no joke in that section. Tom literally just went on an inspirational grind set speech for like 5 minutes. And I agree, it doesn't really seem like a bit. It seems like they definitely like talking about this kind of stuff. And it seems like Tom got triggered by some of those comments because he probably knows his show's peaked and people probably think he's selling out. So he's just doubling down on everything. And I'm sure there were some comments where people took it too far and they're trying to put like all their problems on him. But for the most part, I think people are just trying to make jokes about that kind of thing. Like if somebody said, it's really nice hearing Tom talk about a $100,000 watch when I can't even pay my rent this week. It's somebody just making a joke about the podcast because it's boring to listen to. They're making fun of it. They're trying to make it funny. But if you're somebody that actually is jealous, you shouldn't be, because it sounds like Tom's miserable too. He's reading these comments and getting all triggered by them. Like, just because you have a lot of money and you're successful doesn't mean you're any happier than the average person. Like, if Tom loves his life so much, he loves flying around on private jets and driving around in nice cars and having nice watches, why is he sitting around reading comments? Obviously, all that stuff is not doing it for him. And obviously, Tom does have a point with some of the stuff that he's saying. Like, if you're somebody that just sits around being jealous of how successful other people are, you're not really going to get anywhere with that. But Tom just seemed way too serious about it. Like, this is a comedy podcast. People aren't looking to get their life advice from them. And I really don't think there are many comments that are like what Tom was referring to. I think there are very few that are actually serious about that kind of stuff, where they're trying to put all their problems onto Tom. And if people are saying that, just ignore them. Like, obviously in the comment section, there are going to be some crazy people. But like I was saying, I think the reason he responded is because he knew that people had some legit criticism here. But he took the most extreme example so he could go off on it and try to make it seem like if you're bored listening to them talk about their lifestyle, then you're just a hater and you're a loser that's going nowhere in life. All right, so before I end this video, I just want to mention again that my Patreon is up and there should be a video on there today or tomorrow. I think it should be a good one. It's about Hollywood and how it's full of hypocrites and people that enable the worst behavior. And here's just part of one of the clips that I talk about in my video. And it's actually somebody Tom recently interviewed, Quentin Tarantino. This was from 2004, back when he was defending Roman Polanski, like pretty much every celebrity did up until 2017. But Quentin went a little too hard defending him.
But the situation was not that she was against all this. She was down to party with Roman.
It is against the law.
But let's talk about it the way it is. She was down with the party. He was down with the party. But she was
13. She doesn't get to say she's down with the party.
I don't believe this. I mean, not at 13. Not for these 13-year-old party girls out there.
Oh, my.
Really?
So if you want to hear more about that and how dark Hollywood really is, make sure you go check out my Patreon. And thanks for everyone who's signed up for it so far. I really appreciate it. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about all this, and then hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.